The golden path to Tir Na Nog is open once more, and the greatest Celtic storytellers have gathered for a once-in-a-lifetime journey into the otherworld. When they return, they'll bring with them tales of the creatures they met and the adventures they lived. Over time, those stories will become a saga, and the most epic saga will live on forever.
Hey Meeple people, how's it going? On today's video, we are going to be talking about Tir Na Nog. This is a game that is currently on GameFound right now, and the link for that will be in the description below. This is a game coming from Grand Gamers Guild. This game is for 1 to 5 players, takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play, and is for ages 10 and up. So let's go ahead and table and talk more about this exciting game that's on GameFound right now. Alright people, so this is Tir Na Nog. This is set up currently right now for a game for 2 players, and also be mindful that this is a prototype still. So this is not its final form. Definitely check out their GameFound page to see the final form and all the cool bits that are going to be in that final production copy. So right now we're going to go ahead and do an overview of this and tell you how Tir Na Nog plays and how you win. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So Tir Na Nog, the point of the game is to get the most victory points. You're going to be doing that by playing cards out to this tableau here. It is a 3 and you can go all the way to 5 cards, so a 3x5. You're going to be getting points by obeying the rules of each row, and at the end of the game when you go ahead and basically score for each row and looking at the restrictions of each card, you'll get that many points based on the card. And then also, there are 4 colors in the game, and if while you're building your tableau, your area, your 3x5, and you have the same colors connecting orthogonally up, down, left, or right, and if you have the biggest of a certain color, you will get a very amount of points for having the most of that. So in the 1 to 3 player games, if you have the most or the largest area of a certain color, you will get 8 victory points. If you have the second most, you get 3 victory points. And like I said, there are 4 different colors in the game: yellow, blue, red, and green. And so it's good to kind of plan that out also for more victory points at the end of the game. So that's pretty much how you get victory points in the game. Let's go ahead and talk about a round of Tir Na Nog and go through the turns and then the different phases within a round, and then the end of the round and cleanup and how the game ends. So first things first, you pick a first player. This is our improvised first player token, and you're going to be heading into the journey phase. The journey phase is where you're going to take your workers and place them out in this area so you can collect cards during the saga phase. So starting with the first player, they will take one of their workers and place it in the area over here. Now, you can only place them in certain places. For this 2-player game, you can't place in the center at all. You can only place in between cards. So like, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's not good, that's not good. Again, only in between. And also you can't play where someone else has been played. So if I play here, my opponents cannot also play there. So pretty simple. The first player will go. They will play put out one of their workers, and then the player clockwise will then go and take one of their workers and place it out in a legal spot. They will keep doing so until both players have placed all of their workers out in this area over here. And then we will move into the saga phase, where you are going to be picking back up one worker at a time. And when you pick up a worker, you'll be taking one of the cards that is next to that worker as well, and then putting that card that you just took into your hand, and you can play the card that you just picked up or one of the other cards in your hand, and you'll be placing it in one of the 3 rows all the way to the leftmost area. And then you'll be building towards the right. And so in that saga phase, the player that is on the right side of the first player will be going first, and then they will be going counterclockwise to all the players until all players have picked up all of their workers from this area over here, picking up each card that they have taken. Now, there is an option where after a game, after everyone's picked up, or during this saga phase, when people are picking up cards, sometimes workers or storytellers will be left alone and not have a legal move. This is considered a lost storyteller. This player will pass if this was their last one. If they had other legal moves to pick up other cards, then they would do those. But then if this was their last, they'd pass until all lost storytellers were at the end of the game, end of the saga phase, and then they would go ahead in turn order that counterclockwise way and pick up any of the remaining cards. And then that is the saga phase, where you'll be picking up the cards, placing them in your hand, then picking up one of the cards in your hand and placing them into one of the 3 rows left to right. And also some of them have abilities when played. Some of them have specific phases that they will activate in. And some will have even ongoing effects where they will affect their number. And so that's pretty much the saga phase. Last but not least, we're going to go into the cleanup phase. The phase that you're going to be resetting for the next journey phase, the next round. And you're going to be discarding any of the last cards that are left over here. You're going to be placing them in the discard pile. And then you're going to be moving the first player token to the clockwise to the next player. And then you're going to be refreshing the tableau. So for 2 players, you're going to, after you've gotten rid of all these cards, you're going to go ahead and draw out another 3x3 without the center card. And then you're going to be moving on to the next round. And also, at the end of the cleanup phase, each player is going to be discarding 1 card. So this is how they go ahead and tell you how many rounds you have left. So in Tir Na Nog, the game lasts for 5 rounds, and that's represented by your hand. So at the end of the cleanup phase, you're going to be discarding one of these cards also to the discard pile, and then you will basically know what round you're in, and you'll keep going until the last round, the 5th round, where you discard your last card, and then you will go into scoring the points of the rows, and then going through the regions, which player has the biggest connected area orthogonally of each color, each of the 4 colors. And then after you take all of those points up and together and add them, the winner is the one that has the most victory points and is the winner of Tir Na Nog. That is the game in a nutshell. There is a lot more into it, but I'm just going to go and do a quick overview. There are a plethora of content creators that will be on this Game Found page and get into more details with you. I hope I caught your interest. I hope you go ahead and check out Tir Na Nog and their Game Found page. This is a game that I will definitely be backing because I just stinking love the theme. And we're going to go ahead into my final thoughts on Tir Na Nog, and I'll tell you more about my experience with it, and honestly, a little biased, but why you should, and also why you shouldn't, obviously, because not all games are for everybody. So yeah, I'll also, tell people, hey, if this isn't really your kind of game, well, sorry, but move along. But if this is your kind of game, because this is definitely my kind of game, and we're going to go ahead and jump into it. So yeah, let's go ahead and into those final thoughts. All right, so let's go ahead and get into these final thoughts. The first thing I'd like to say is I really like the flow of the game. The game moved pretty smoothly, no bumps within thinking of like strategy and gameplay. So, and next I'd like to talk about I love the amount of player interaction when you're going ahead and placing your workers out during the journey phase. It's there's a little bit of strategy, cutting people off a little bit there. And then when you move into the saga phase, when you're getting cards to place into your tableau, it's not like no one can really touch that. As long as the cards I've seen or the content that I have so far of the game, no one can really touch what you've created. The only thing they can really do is take cards that you would have liked to take in the saga phase. So I really like the amount of play interaction that there is. There's not too much like take that within this game, or hey, I'm gonna touch your I'm gonna touch your tableau and mess it up. So it's I enjoy it. Next, let's go ahead and the puzzly aspect. It's great if you like puzzly games. This is one that I would recommend. Let's go with scales with player counts. It's I would say, yeah, it doesn't get different. It gets a little crazier the more players you have. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I think you can play multiple. I think it works well with multiple player counts. And then also, I don't have all the content. I think there's going to be a lot more coming out. Again, like I showed you, everything that I have before me is a prototype. So, and I did talk with one of the designers, Isaac, at TantrumCon 2023 about it. And he's like, though we were playing it in a 5-player game, and he was mentioning that there's going to be like an expansion and stuff like that. So there's juicy stuff to come to add to it. But I feel like if you just plowed through the content that I had now for the game, like for the scoring cards and all that, replayability might suffer, but because it's a puzzly game, but it's not so puzzly that I feel like, you could still just kind of run through it and have a tough time with keep playing it over and over again. But with the content that I believe they're coming out with, and especially the talk of an expansion already, it's going to be interesting and exciting to see what happens, because I love the theme. That's another one of the things I love is the theme of the game. And yeah, it's just a very different, very original, because I've never seen anything like this. This is Tir Na Nog is basically like storytellers in Irish mythology, and it's basically it's about that. So it's not zombies, it's not cute animals, it's not a Euro-esque type of like resource management game, but it's definitely a different feel. So that's refreshing. What else? The game's a bit of a table hog, and I was talking with this to Sarah about, and she didn't really agree that it was, but I just thought it was just because when you get to 5 players and everyone needs a tableau of 3 by 5, that it just can get, if you don't have the right size table or the right size space, then you might be kind of squished in. And definitely when I played the 5-player game, it felt a little bit like that. It was like, we just have enough room, but it's not too tight, but it definitely takes up, I believe, a lot of space. So a little bit of a table hog. But the last thing I want to go ahead or a couple last things, I want to go ahead and mention that this is a game that is easy to learn and easy to teach. I taught my wife, Sarah. She is like the game demonstrator, and I am not. So this was one that after you played it once, after you kind of go through the rules, it's easy to digest. And when I taught her or refreshed her on the rules from our previous games, it wasn't hard, and it was pretty easy to answer any questions that she had. So I would definitely say this is a game that's easy to learn and easy to teach, especially if you want to start getting some of your non-gamer or lightly gaming friends into board games. This is one that I would recommend to go ahead and show them and teach them, because it's a pretty cool game. But that's pretty much it for what I have for my final thoughts. I think this is a game that if you are interested in the theme and interested in a puzzly type game, that I would go ahead and tell you and recommend you to go ahead and back this on GameFound. Because when I first saw this, when I first was offered to review it, I got really excited just by the theme alone, and then some of the mechanics. I was just kind of like, ooh, this is interesting. And then it was a total surprise to come to Tantrum Con 2023 and have one of the designers there with the game. And he asked me, it was funny when I was walking around, and he's like, hey, do you want to play my new game that is coming to GameFound soon? And he whipped it out. I was like, they actually already asked me to come review your game, so I'd love to play it. It was like a perfect opportunity to be taught the game before I had to go through the rules all by myself. And so Isaac was a great teacher, and he was a great person to have while you're playing. So having the designer right there while you play their game is pretty awesome. But yeah, this is one that I would definitely recommend for those that want to add a solid game to their repertoire, their collection, because I just like it. And another cool thing, the artwork is awesome too. And when you're building your tableau, some of the cards will actually work together, like it will be flush to where like the artwork will continue. And I just thought it was pretty cool. And the abilities of cards too was interesting, because the cards have certain values, and sometimes you can break those values with some special cards and their special abilities. So it's pretty cool. A game I would definitely recommend to people. And yeah, can't recommend this enough. I'm a sucker. I'm probably kind of biased on this one, so take it for it is. I really enjoy this one. I'm going to play this again at the time of this recording. I'm going to try to play this a lot more before I have to go and send it off to another reviewer. So take for what it is. But yeah. So again, the link to the GameFound page will be in the description of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative, and I hope you check it out and decide for yourself if you want to back this or not. But yeah, so without further ado, we will see you all next time. Toodles!